So you had your fill and now you want to get down to terra firma. In this video we'll take a look at how to do precisely that. First of all, the basics. I know I sound like a broken record, but thrust equals speed and speed equals lift. The opposite is true as well. The less speed you've got, the less lift you're gonna get. So we definitely want to reduce our thrust by bringing our throttle back to help us slow down. Certain aircraft may also have certain surfaces that can be employed to slow you down, such as flaps and air brakes. Air brakes only slow you down as they dramatically increase your drag. Flaps, on the other hand, not only generate more drag, but more lift as well. This is easily noticeable by deploying them. Your aircraft will immediately balloon up. Now, if you plan to land at the proper, long runway, you don't really need to use flaps unless it's part of an enforced SOP. Flaps are very useful, however, for landing on short runways or grass fields. Today I'll be landing in Batumi, which has a proper runway, but for the purpose of this video, I'll also use flaps. Now, the way you'd approach the airport as well as the landing itself differs from aircraft to aircraft, as well as different airports and different sims. For civilian aviation, standard approach procedures, including specific vectoring or patterns, is typically how it's done. Fighters, on the other hand, tend to prefer overhead brakes. For this video, I will demonstrate a simple runway lineup, which is the easiest way to approach a landing. Now, unlike everything else, landing requires some planning. In order to minimize our descent rate, we need to slow down and start our glide down the runway early enough. But starting this too early will mean we'll never make it. Starting too late will have us practically dive bomb the runway or abort the landing. Now, while I could give you numbers and procedures to follow, I want you instead to eyeball everything. By practicing landings in such a way, you'll better learn how your aircraft flies during landing and will ultimately make you a better pilot. So going back to the landing technique, we'll continue to glide down the runway at landing speed, all the while using the threshold as our aim point, and just before touching down, we effectively abort the landing by flaring, which will bleed out our last bit of speed and let us finally touch down. So here I am approaching Batumi, runway in sight. I am roughly at 3000 feet and I want to keep descending slowly down to 1000 feet. At the same time trying to stick to the runway center as best as I can. Obviously, with a plane like this, it's not the easiest of things, but if I can land this or a Mustang, everything else will feel easy. Notice how I am also slowing down, but very casually. I'm not concerned about my speed just yet. Here you can see me pull the flap lever, again unnecessary, but it will make the landing a bit easier, helping slow me down and provide an extra bit of lift. And I also extend my gear. Now, because of all the extra drag from the gear as well as the center of gravity moving forwards, I begin to nose down, so I pull back on the controls gently and compensate with an extra bit of throttle to overcome all that extra drag and stick to 80 knots. We just hit 1000 feet and we keep descending to 500 for final. At 500, I keep gliding lower and lower towards the runway. Notice how I try to hide the threshold of the runway below my nose. That's my aiming point. Even in the last moments, I'm trying to align with the runway as best as I can. I maintain that gentle descent. At the threshold, throttle at idle, and just before touchdown, I pull back as if I just changed my mind. That's the flare, alright? Keep the nose up, keep it up, and the wheels gently touch the ground. Gently engage your brakes and take the first taxiway you can to vacate the runway as soon as possible. That's it. Pat yourself in the back because you just got over the hardest part of flying. There's a reason why they say every landing you can walk away from is a good landing. With this video, the basic flight series is complete, and thus I have provided you with all you need to know to get into the beautiful world of aviation. I'll be taking a break from airplanes and switch over to helicopters. They are my favorite aircraft, and therefore I intend to do them justice. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this tutorial series useful. Tengu signing out. Good flying.